Stay in the front right here.
Yeah.
We have star of the main event, Jon Jones. Obviously, you've been singing his praises forever. This is the greatest fighter ever. But to do that to Stipe and just turn him off with a spinning back kick of everything, just what was your reaction? What was
and the kicks that started right from the jump, hurt him with the first kick. This guy's fight IQ is off the charts, and everybody gonna admit now that he's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world. And let me tell you what, this thing had upset written all over it too. I mean, Stipe, all the talk about Jon Jones, Stipe seemed pissed, focused, and he came here to win. He looked good. He was physically in great shape. The list goes on, and Jon literally picked him apart. The jab was unbelievable tonight. How he was kicking the legs and the body. Every time he kicked the body, I thought it was over. And then he would go for the head kick and slipping punches. I mean, he's going to be 38 years old this summer. He looked incredible. I just don't know how any of you don't see that this guy's the fucking greatest fighter in the history of fucking people fighting. He's 37 going on 38. And again, tonight, he went in and did what he did. He's fucking unbelievable. And as long as he's active, he's the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world.
So moving forward, what do you do? Like, as obviously you said you want him to fight Tom next, and you said that could just be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time.
It will be.
Yeah. And Jon was on the post-fight thing. He said he wants to be well compensated because he saw what Jake and Mike.
He will be.
So when do you actually meet with him? Is that a Tuesday conversation, or is it?
I got Tom waiting outside for me right now, and Jon, you let Jon do Jon. Jon's going to disappear. Not only will you not hear about him or what he's doing, neither will I. And then he will resurface, and he'll call, and we'll get it done.
And Stipe he was very blunt. He said he's retiring. He's hanging it up. So I guess what are your thoughts of Stipe's career and what we saw from him in there? Because Daniel said he looked kind of slow, maybe a little sluggish, but he was landing some shots in there.
He looked slow after he took the kicks to the body. He looked slow. Listen, don't say Stipe. Stipe was in fucking great shape. He came in and he was here to win, and Jon Jones systematically fucking picked him apart. His fight IQ is off the charts. It is hard talking to people who 99.9% of the media don't know what the fuck they're talking about when it comes to fighting. Amen. Thank you, sir.
And what did you make of Stipe's career now that he's officially hung it up?
He's had an incredible career, and it doesn't diminish who he was at heavyweight and what he's accomplished here. When you think about Stipe, he's made a lot of money. He's been a firefighter. He'll retire with his pension and all the things. Stipe is going to have a great life.
In the co-main event, obviously, another fight of the night for Michael Chandler. He was pretty adamant, beat Charles, go on to fight for the title and everything. Real weird fifth round of, a lot of blows to the back of the head. A lot of your fighters online seemed very confused why the referee wasn't, saying anything about that. Just what did you make of just all the weirdness we saw in that?
Yeah, the reffing lately has been weird. The judging has been weird lately, and I don't disagree with you. I saw a fight tonight that should have been stopped earlier, and it's just,
What do you do with Charles? He's pretty adamant that he wants to be cage side for that Islam and Arman fight whenever that happens.
Then we fly him in from Brazil and sit him cage side for that fight.
When you say the Tom-Jon fight would be the biggest of all time, you're talking even bigger than the Brock Lesnar days at heavyweight as well.
Be the biggest heavyweight fight in UFC history by a long shot.
When you look at that fight stylistically, right, as you said, Jon, still amazing, still incredibly varied attacks, great IQ, but it would seem that Tom's advantage would be in the speed. When you look at that fight, how do you break it down, and how do you think that could play out?
I have no idea. I mean, I don't know what Jon's going to do. Jon's one of those guys that I was saying earlier has the highest fight IQ. He's like fucking Elon Musk in the octagon, okay? This guy is brilliant in there, and the things that he pulls off, you didn't see any of the spinning elbows tonight that he does normally. He did all different shit tonight. I'm sure he sat down and watched Stipe's tapes, and I don't know what he'll do with Aspinall.
Michael Chandler Charles getting his back and him doing the slams into it, obviously not advisable, but did you enjoy that as a spectator?
I'm sorry. What did you ask me?
I said, did you enjoy when Chandler threw himself backwards with Charles on his back?
Yeah, that was awesome.
Obviously, look, I think he's 2-3 now in the UFC, but every time he goes out there, right, puts on a crazy show. He's one of those fighters that I'm sure you just love to have around, regardless of his win-loss record.
Yeah, I mean, he's like an Arturo Gatti, man. He's one of those guys. Win, lose, or draw, you're never bummed out at the end of a Michael Chandler fight.
Last one for me. Look, I know that you got to let Jon do Jon, go and disappear for a while. But do you have to have a time limit on it for those negotiations? Because obviously Tom's been at...
Of course.
Yeah. Do you have any idea when you sort of think like, hey, come on?
No.
And then on the Chandler side of it, afterwards, right, he eventually calls out Conor McGregor again. Like, do you even go down that road? Like,
Who did? Bo?
No, Chandler.
Oh, Chandler.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Is that like a waste at this point?
Conor's going to come back late 25, so there's a lot of time before we figure out who's going to fight Conor.
And Jon has made it clear in kind of the interviews he's done, he wants to be well compensated for this Tom fight. And I know the last time this was kind of a thing with the Francis Ngannou fight, you said he wanted $30 million. There's the Anthony Joshua money quote and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like this could be leading to that same type of friction, or do you think it'll be an easier negotiation this time?
Jon's always been well compensated. He's always been well compensated. I would never put his total purse number out there, but it's fucking massive. The number that he went over tonight, he's made a lot of money in his career. Listen, you don't fight and then disappear for 5 years because you weren't well compensated. He makes a lot of money. So he'll make a lot more for this fight.
And you booked this Ian Garry versus Shavkat fight for the next pay-per-view. No interim title, just a co-main event, 5 rounds. Was that discussed at all? And why, with Bilal out in this situation, was an interim title not the right decision?
Yeah, because we know when Bilal's coming back. He's not going to be out that long. So it's a number 1 contender fight. You do 5 rounds, which is great for both of those guys to get 5 rounds under the belt before they fight Bilal. And when do you ever have a fight, especially in MMA, we have 2 undefeated guys. You got an 18-0 with a 100% finish rate and a 15-0. 2 of the best young up-and-coming prospects in the division to face off to see who's the number 1 contender.
Shavkat tweeted out that he was really disappointed in the division. He said basically everyone ranked above Ian turned the fight down. Was it difficult to get the fight made?
No, not at all. Listen, all these guys get disappointed about. You want to talk about disappointment? Chris Weidman's probably the most disappointed dude on the planet right now. That's the sport, and it happens.
Dana,
Yeah.
you've worked with Jon Jones for 16 years. You've seen him go through ups and downs, in and outside of the cage. Outside of his fighting career, what do you think's your most impactful moment you've had with Jon?
Outside of what? His fighting career?
Yep, outside of the cage. Like as friends.
Me and Jon Jones never got along outside of the cage. We've had a horrendous relationship for 16 years. Not 16. Call it 10, 12.
Well, I'm sure he's happy that you're claiming him as a pound-for-pound number 1.
Because it's a fact. We don't have to like each other. We don't have to whatever. I'm not saying we don't have that kind of relationship anymore, but I don't have to like him to realize who he is and what he's capable of and see the brilliance. He is the best to ever fight in a fucking fight, period. Ever.
I agree.
Unless, like, maybe in the Roman days. I don't know fucking anybody that fought back then. But since people have been fucking documenting fighting, he's the best ever.
You say that Jon and Tom has the potential to be the biggest heavyweight fight of all time. Is that a fight that you think you could go against your normal rules and go for a stadium?
It doesn't have the potential to. It's going to be. It's going to be the biggest heavyweight fight ever. It'll probably be the biggest fight we've ever done. And I hate stadiums, man. I hate them. I like arenas. It's just such a better vibe. People can see better. Probably not.
And that fight will obviously take place in the USA.
We don't know. We're talking about. We were literally talking about a lot of different options tonight before we came in here.
So England's a potential.
Could be anywhere. Could literally be anywhere.
Thank you.
Yep.
And over here, just quickly, obviously you don't make the fights on the night, but I'd imagine
But
if Chandler had beaten Oliveira, it would have been. Well, Oliveira's obviously going to move on and be fighting up the division. Does the result almost kind of help him in getting that McGregor fight back on track a little bit? The fact that it didn't go his way tonight.
I don't know. I mean, anything's possible. Listen, like I said, he's like Arturo Gatti. You know what I mean? People want to see him fight, win, lose, or draw. He's always exciting. He's always fun. I mean, the last round of that fight, he kept getting taken down, get on his back. So when he got on his back at the end, he just stood up and started slamming him. The kid always tries to win. He always comes to fight. And Michael Chandler's always going to have a home here. I mean, until he decides to retire, Michael Chandler isn't going anywhere. Will he fight Conor? I don't know.
With regards, Conor, you mentioned on the Jim Rome show and again today that it's going to be the end of next year, which will bring him over 4 years out of the octagon. I spoke to him a couple of weeks ago, and he seemed more like he was maybe going to fight on February 1st. Where's the disconnect there?
Who felt like that?
Conor.
Conor? And disconnect? And me? And there's no doubt that Conor hits me up all the time. Conor wants to fight. I told you guys that he probably wouldn't fight in 24, and he didn't. He's going to fight in 25, probably at the end of the year. If it's earlier, that's good for all of us.
Why so late?
When it's going to play out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
They know
Yeah.
we're here. Thanks for making a great night.
Thank you, sir.
It was a great experience. I wanted to ask about Jon Jones. I know you like questions about him, so if Aspinall gets out of the fight, if you schedule a fight and he gets out of fight, do you think you'll try to make a fight against Pereira?
No.
No? Okay.
You know what tonight told me? There's no fucking way I make the Pereira fight.
Okay.
John's too big. Great wrestler. See how he took Stipe down in that first round?
Yeah.
I like Alex Pereira. I like him personally.
But
it
he's
just
the greatest of all time, right?
it just doesn't make sense to make that fight. If they both want it bad enough and they're both fucking hounding me or something, maybe I would do it. It's just Alex Pereira is killing it. Look at his age and what he's doing right now. What's the reason to go up and fight a guy that's so much bigger than you and such a good wrestler? What is it?
Money.
Money?
I gotta see.
Yeah. No, you're right. That's definitely a reason.
The only reason.
But just so we're clear, I don't want to make any of that kind of money. I want Pereira to stay where he is and do what he does and, run the street. But again, if they go crazy on me and they want to do it, then what am I going to do? They're grown-ass men, and I'm sure the fans want to see it. I'm sure you want to see it. I guess we'll talk about it.